English translation, 338th contact. Monday, 24th of February 2003, or 0.02 hours.
There you are. Welcome to my lair, golden child. Greetings. I'm sorry to trouble you again. You got word from Quetzal? What does he think of my proposal?
Thank you for your loving greeting, which I return. You always surprise me with your greetings. Yes, I spoke with Quetzal, and he explained that because we consider the private lives of the group members to be a barrier to our monitoring, he alone must decide according to and your explanation. In the case you describe regarding's concern, he considers the whole thing to be extremely regrettable. He says that he feels her pain and understands her problem very well. This is also a problem that may also occur with group members if they are associated with non-group members. He also let it be explained that such problems arise with terrestrial human beings because they are too selfish, self-serving and unconsidered about themselves and of the fulfillment of their own desired needs, without paying attention to and accepting the needs and wishes of others. This would restrict the neighbor's personal freedom and will, his or her personal desires, concerns, and needs, and possibly even his or her personal opinion, in such a stressful way that the psyche would be severely impaired and depression would quickly arise. What I have to say about this is what I have to explain. Such an action towards one's fellow human, and as it is also exercised on Dikua, is a form of very strong, uncontrolled egoism and jealousy, which, as Quetzal repeatedly explained, can cause severe psychological stress and damage to both sides. However, as regards your proposal, which I have submitted to him, he considers it to be very good advice and instruction for the present problem solving. But Quetzal points out that, in the long run, this can also lead to the opposite than just good psychological aspects, which means that under certain circumstances, depression or other psychological damage could still be caused by the solution proposed by you, but not through your fault. This is because through coercion, their personal freedom has to be restricted, which in the course of time can also lead to a partnership relationship taking on very suffering forms. But this, as well as further information, I am only supposed to explain and give in confidence for you alone.
I see. Of course I will keep it to myself. After all, it would be unwise to talk about it.
Quetzal also told me to tell you that he was able to clarify that there had been no relationship between M and W as other personalities in previous lives.
Thanks. Now I can finally pass on the answer. It took a bit long.
Quetzal also has many tasks to fulfill, my friend Billy.
That is why I am not saying anything. I am just saying that the clarifications took a long time.
Sorry, because obviously I misunderstood you. But if I may ask you a question about the spiritual teaching, I am sure your explanation will be of interest to the group members as well.
If it is a question that still falls within the possible explanation for the group members in terms of answering it.
Yes, that is certainly the case, because you are very well versed in these matters. As a result of my ignorance, the question has arisen in me as to what the overall consciousness block of the human being is formed from. Since the creation of the spirit forms by the creation, has this block been created from the ground up by a creational law in such a wise that every spirit form has one attached to it? Or does it form a separate unit which only comes into being in a human being when a spirit form reincarnates in him or her?
But this should be known to your spiritual leadership, because I answered this question in one of my long papers for the spiritual leadership. But your question is interesting, if only because a core group member recently came to me with a similar question.
Your work for our spiritual leadership has to be processed by them first, which will take quite some time. Only then will the whole thing be officially taught to all of our humanity. As I know from Ta, you have been working for months on a lengthy teaching for our spiritual leadership, which should take 5 to 6 years to process. But I do not want to wait that long for an answer to my question. So, if I may ask you for an answer?
Of course, it is a great honor for me. Thus here then, the overall consciousness block of the human being may well lead back to a creational law. However, it is not integrated into the spirit form from the ground up. In fact, this block is only created by the spirit form itself, by the power of the creational law that the spirit form must also consist of the two poles of the negative and the positive in the existence of the material body. The spirit form itself forms the positive value, while the overall consciousness block embodies the negative value, which stands in direct connection to the material consciousness emanating from it, which influences itself through its own power to form thoughts and also evolves itself. At the same time, the material consciousness is also connected in a special form with the whole material body, which is why it is also said that the material body forms the negative value. This is also true with regard to animals, etc., except that here there is an overall instinct consciousness block and an instinct consciousness and thus no conscious awareness. But now back to the spirit form, which creates the overall consciousness block in humans, or in the animal world, etc., the overall instinct consciousness block. First, there is a still unknowing new spirit form, in humans as well as in animals, etc., which does not yet have an overall consciousness block or overall instinct consciousness, whereby from this block a human consciousness, that is to say, a material consciousness, or in animals, etc., an animal instinct consciousness could be created. And when we speak only of human beings, a new spirit that is still unknowing and that inhabits a material body for the first time will be subject to the creational law, which is impulsively stored in the spirit form, of creating an overall consciousness block from within itself. This then creates, out of itself again, the conscious material consciousness, and thus the actual personality, which then copes with the material life, learns, and after the death of the material body, passes away again, connected with the spirit form, which after the death of the material body, crosses over to the realm of the other side. The same happens with the overall consciousness block, which also crosses over into its own afterlife realm. In this area, the block, through its neutral energy, together with the personality, is still completely working through everything that has not yet been processed from the past current life. When this processing finds its completion, then the personality is dissolved into pure neutral energy by the power and energy of the overall consciousness block, which no longer contains any old personality impulses. This neutral spirit energy is then used by the overall consciousness block to create an absolutely new personality and thus a new consciousness, which no longer has any similarities with the dissolved and past personality or with the old consciousness. It is this new personality that is then born together with the reincarnation-capable spirit form and its overall consciousness block into a new human body. It also originates from this that no personality and therefore no human can be reborn, because this is reserved solely for the everlasting spirit form. Only the spirit form is thus ordered by creational laws of rebirth, but not the personality.
It is simply wonderful and fascinating how detailed and easy to understand you are always able to explain everything. Thank you very much for your valuable explanations. I wish I had the same ability in this regard as you do.
Thank you for the flowers, but I think that you too can learn this, and that there are many other humans in the entire universe who can do the same. All that is required is that you are focused, that you study and know the subject thoroughly, and that you never give in to superficiality.
You probably could not have explained it better. What you say sounds very simple too, but the reality is that everything is extremely difficult to learn. So a thorough learning of this ability is required.
Yes, that is unfortunately the crucial point where so many human beings fail.
Unfortunately, that is also the truth. But now, dear friend.
Of course, you must go again.
That is so. Goodbye. And greetings I should still offer you from Quetzal.
Thanks, Salome then. Take care.